So in this video, we're just going to talk about how to send your seller disclosure out so that way it can be completed electronically. So I wanted to do this one separate just because this one seems to give a little confusion. So I'm going to go ahead and go to seller forms. And type in seller. You see here the seller's property disclosure statement. I'm going to click add or click this checkbox and now click add. So now the seller disclosure is in my room. I'm going to open it up. I highly recommend you reading the seller disclosure in full, just so you understand everything that's on your seller disclosure. You will need to have the property name and the seller's names here. And then every single question needs to be answered by the seller, and that's what you'll advise them. If they don't know the answer, there is an unknown column or an NA column. There's lots of room for them to write in or type in information. I always tell them the more information you can provide, the better. The seller disclosure works to protect both the buyer and the seller, right? Maybe there's an issue that the buyer just doesn't want to deal with. Well, then we want to make sure that the buyer knows of that issue so that way they don't back out later. And then this protects the seller, honestly, as honest as possible that they can be. And the more they disclose, the better, because it'll help prevent a buyer from being able to walk out during a home inspection when they find something that was already on the disclosure. Or it just helps prevent the seller from getting sued after closing because of something that wasn't disclosed to the buyer. So you just want to make sure that your sellers fill this out as honestly and completely as possible. I've had sellers, attach receipts if they still had it, like if they had a roof repaired, they would attach that receipt so that way they were being as open about that situation as possible. You can see that it's 11 pages now, but definitely just make sure, every year around July 1st, sometimes new forms come available. So you'll just want to stay on top of that. Our Market Center does make sure we make you aware. And the new updated forms are always added to DocuSign for you. So this is an updated seller disclosure already added to DocuSign for me. We didn't even have to do anything. Now, other than typing in the seller's info up top, there's not much you have to do here. So I'm just going to hit save and close. When we go to envelope, I will recommend to you to send this one out separately. So in this envelope from an earlier video, we sent out a bunch of other listing documents that are required, your listing agreement, utility sheet, items to convey, mortgage payoff statement, things like that. But I always recommend that you do the seller disclosure by itself because it's such a big document. So I'm going to click Room Docs. You want your seller to be able to dedicate some time to just that form because it might take them a while. It would suck to have them start initialing and then not be able to finish. So we're going to click Add Selected. When you add recipient, you must make sure you choose pre-tagged roles. And then I just click on the left-hand side. Now, in this case, I only have one seller, but if you had 2, 3, or 4, you would want to check all of them and then assign to each recipient that needs to fill it out. So now I clicked Add Selected. And I'm going to click Next. And now you will see that it's completely fillable for the sender. There is text boxes already laid out for you and initial and signature pages. So you don't have to do that. And when they receive it, they will literally just click or type, and then they can send it back to you completely filled out, nice and neat. So I'm going to click Send. And that is the seller disclosure and how to send it electronically to be completed.